Hey guys, it's Ryan here from Explained, and welcome to another video. Today we'll be watching a German horror movie called Haunted Hospital, which was released back in 2018. What happens when a group of YouTubers entered a haunted hospital to do a 24-hour challenge video? Let's find out. Turn on the subtitles and spoilers ahead. During the Nazi era, patients with tuberculosis were brutally murdered in the name of research in a sanatorium near Berlin. Several accounts of killing and paranormal activity have been recorded within the premises in recent times. The movie starts with Marnie, who happens to run a less successful social media channel, shooting a video of herself with a guest. She's creating a video with Margot, whom she challenges to face his biggest fear by watching a horror movie, and whoever gets scared while watching the movie has to dance silly as a punishment. While filming another video in her room, Marnie gets a notification of a video from the viral video stars Finn and Charlie, showing their previous week's challenge. Finn and Charlie, a very popular YouTube prankster duo, run a successful prank channel called Prankstars. In their latest viral video, they snuck into a morgue and clicked pictures with dead bodies. And now for their second video, they have created a challenge with their viral video rival named Betty, who runs the channel named Bettyful. The challenge that they have created is to spend 24 hours together exploring a real haunted building that they just discovered through their old school buddy named Theo. The building where they'll do the challenge happens to be Berlin's haunted Hallstatten sanatorium, where patients were being murdered in brutal Nazi experiments. While Marnie's watching the video, her sister Vanessa, who happens to be wheelchair-bound, tries to convince her that her ex-boyfriend Theo is the one guiding the group through the hospital, since he is the only friend that knows about the Hallstein building. Marnie feels concerned about why her ex-boyfriend Theo would agree on taking anyone to the Hallstatten after the kind of terrifying experience they had there in the previous summer. She tries to reach him through calls while her sister Vanessa tells her to get over him. Finn, Charlie, Theo, and Betty arrive at the location to access the haunted surgery block illegally with Theo's help for a 24-hour challenge that they hope will go viral. Finn and Charlie's video production assistant Emma also comes to the sanatorium with them to help in setting up camera equipment. They break the building lock since the key with Theo doesn't help in unlocking it. They move on to the haunted house, which is the surgery block of the sanatorium, making jokes about the building on their way. Finn and Charlie agree on having the loser, which is any one of them that gives up the challenge first, to have their viewers decide his or her meal for a whole month. On their way in, Marnie arrives unexpectedly to confront Theo. She asks him why he brought them here after knowing that the building is haunted, but all Theo says to her is that she should leave and go back home. He then later accuses Marnie and says the only reason she came into the building is to get help from Finn and Charlie and get more viewers in her channel. The other participants in the channel do not want Marnie to leave, so Finn and Charlie offer to help in boosting her exposure in exchange that she agrees to stay and serve as their medium with the ghost. Theo also tells her that staying might help her get through the hallucinations that she had previously. They enter the abandoned creepy building to start their exploration. Theo advises his colleagues to stay cautious in the building because anything can fall apart since it's been abandoned for a long period of time. Theo tells the others that a lot of crimes against humanity occurred in the block. He also adds that incurable tuberculosis patients were killed in the same building. Charlie and Emma set up cameras in every creepy corner of the building. Theo, Finn, and Charlie go out to start their generator to lighten up the building when the darkness eventually hits. Marnie also makes a video of herself telling her viewers that she's at the sanatorium building with Prankstars and Bettyful, mainly because she wants to face her biggest fear too. She also mentions that she was at the building the previous year with her sister and her ex-boyfriend Theo. Regardless of the creepy environment they're in, Finn and Betty make a flirty move towards each other by kissing. Then, Finn's friend Chris arrives unexpectedly and acts like a dead woman carrying a baby to frighten Betty. When Theo sees what Chris did, he reprimands Finn for joking around the building and not taking Hallstatten seriously. Theo then talks about how a serial killer known as the Beast of Belitz hit a baby against a tree before strangling her mother and then did the unthinkable with her dead body. The woman's husband, who happened to be a chief doctor at the hospital, hanged himself when he found out about it. Finn says that he feels that Theo is just jealous of him and Charlie's success, and that's why he's giving all those negative vibes during the challenge. Theo also tells him that when he was in the building the previous year, he was thoughtful with everything they did. But in the case of Finn and Charlie, they're just fooling the youths with everything that they're doing on the channel. Theo is furious as he leaves the room. Emma asks Marnie how it feels to have an encounter with a ghost. Marnie says that it's more like psychosis in her head. While trying to leave the haunted hospital after successfully scaring her friends, Chris loses his way. While trying to find his way out, he hears a sound, but he thinks it's either Finn or Charlie. He traces the sound into another part of the building, where he gets attacked by an unseen entity. He screams, but no one hears him. Marnie, on the other hand, confesses that she still has some feelings left for her ex-boyfriend Theo. While Emma is trying to check their food, she finds moss all over everyone's food package. They all wonder who could have put those moss in their food. Then, Theo explains that moss have a symbolic connection to tuberculosis patients. They find out that Betty's missing, which prompts everyone to start searching for her. Betty shows up alone in a room making a video of herself, telling her viewers how the challenge has been going on. She encounters a woman covered with blood in a bathtub. Then Betty runs and gets back to the others to tell them about what she's just encountered. They all follow her back to the bathtub to see what she's talking about, but her colleagues find the bathtub empty when they get back to the bathroom. Charlie thinks Betty's already going crazy. Then they try to confirm if she truly saw something while she was in the bathroom at first. This becomes a subject of disagreement between all of them. Theo suggests they switch their lights off and use UV light instead. The UV light reveals blood stained all over the walls of the room and writings that warn of a curse connected to the moss. Marnie comments that a vindictive female ghost known as Patient 106, whose real name is Irina, seems to haunt the hospital, and that was probably the woman she and Betty saw. After a while, their generator suddenly goes off and a projector begins to play footage showing the hospital's tortured patients, including Irina. Marnie starts to put the pieces together and concludes that the woman called Irina has cursed the building. Marnie tells Theo to reveal the truth about the curse to everyone. Theo explains that Irina was impregnated due to an affair she had with one of the doctors, but her medical condition didn't get better. Irina then killed herself and cursed the surgery room. Everyone that committed suicide inside Hellstatten, include the Beast of Belitz, did so inside the same surgery room cursed by Irina. Theo leaves the room to check the generator, while Finn and Betty go outside for their cars in order to leave the building as soon as possible, only to discover that their cars won't start. Betty checks Finn's glove box for their phones, but finds moss flying out instead. Finn goes to the main gate to search for help, but he discovered that the gate is now padlocked. They hear the sound of a ringtone coming from a building. Following the sound, Betty and Finn find Chris's body mutilated and covered with blood. Finn and Betty find their way back to Charlie, Marnie, and Emma, then tell them what they saw. Upon discovering that Theo went to fix the generator all by himself and he's not returned, Finn says that he's not going to leave anyone behind in the building, so Betty goes with him to find Theo. Marnie tells Charlie they need a cell phone to get help, so Charlie leaves them to get the phone from Chris's body and see for himself what's happened to him. When he gets there, he throws up on seeing Chris's body and is taken also by an unseen being. Just as soon as Finn and Betty find Theo standing still in a hallway and telling them that Irina is behind them, he gets dragged into the darkness just like the others. Marnie tells Emma, who's already getting frightened, that she thinks Irina wants them to complete their filming so that her story can be told. She believes that Irina wants them to stay and film everything. Marnie also tells Emma that when she came to Hellstatten earlier with her sister and Theo the previous year, Vanessa was the one that calmed her when she suffered a panic attack. But Vanessa ended up falling and she became paralyzed. Then, Theo vowed he would never bring anyone to tour the haunted hospital ever again. Betty falls into a hole in the floor and sprains her ankle while trying to run away from the ghost that dragged Theo. Finn starts to look for something to pull her out with. Then, an unseen presence attacks Betty. Finn finds Theo's body covered with blood and hanging from a noose. A moth comes out of Theo's mouth. Finn's torch starts to malfunction and an unseen presence attacks Finn. Marnie and Emma try to escape the building when Marnie senses that Irina wants to hurt them. The two women run toward the main entrance only to discover that they've been locked inside the building. When Emma and Marnie are confused about what to do, they stay in a bathroom and blood suddenly sprays from the sprinkler on them. Out of fear, they run back to where they were before, but Emma falls into an elevator path. She cries for help and asks her not to move. In no time, the elevator shaft drops on her and she eventually dies. Marnie was trying to find her way out but falls into the same hole Betty fell into. She uses the lock breaker she sees in the hole to make her way out. After Marnie recovers from her fall, she continues to look for her way out. On her way, she sees Finn, Charlie, and Betty strapped to the tables with their mouths covered in an operating room. Irina steps in front of the camera and removes her ghoul makeup, which reveals her to be a human. Theo enters and removes his makeup too, which discloses that he and Irina staged the whole paranormal activity to do the same brutal experiments the Nazis did on the tuberculosis patients and kill the viral video stars. Marnie is in total shock seeing what his ex-boyfriend is up to. Theo notices Marnie had not been taken, so he tells Irina to go find her. Theo continues to speak in front of the camera, and he says he had everything staged with Irina's help, whom he seems to have an affair with. Theo explains to the camera how he and Irina have staged the haunting and says his main aim for doing this is to get Finn, Charlie, and Betty punished for the silly jokes and pranks they play around. Theo also says that he's truly jealous of Finn's success, just as he presumed earlier. Theo then tortures and mutilates Finn, Charlie, and Betty, one after the other. Theo chases after Marnie when Irina tells him she's missing. He runs after Marnie, but she stabs him when he's on the verge of catching her. Marnie manages to get outside and escapes Hellstatten with the help of the lockbreaker she's carrying. Theo and Irina continue to put their video together. Theo tells Irina to upload the video to Prankstars TV and Bettyful TV. In the end, Theo shoots himself while in front of the camera. Irina continues to assess the footage, but her eyes turn white and moths start to come out of her. This reveals that she really was Patient 106's ghost. Thanks so much for watching. Let us know what you thought of the movie down below in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more movie recaps.